1 teaspoon. And like a BB moment, which is like a beautiful black moment. Did we get any of those in this episode?
Black.
We have a chaotic bi moment of the
chaotic bi moment. And you're watching Black Bi Reality.
Black Bi Baddies.
And those who love us.
Hello, you are watching and are listening to the Black Bi Reality Podcast, a podcast for Black Bi Baddies and those who love us. I am your host, Nicole Weaver, an entertainment reporter, and I am coming back to talk about Love Island USA. Before getting into that, how did the end of Pride happen for the rest of you? Mine was particularly rough. I am grieving, and it's been rough feeling like I have to keep going despite grieving because I'm still technically in survival mode. But I'm doing everything that I can to stay sane, stick with it. I particularly did enjoy the Ultimatum Queer Love coming back. I've had kind of an interesting relationship with that series since in the past. There's been a lot of domestic violence on that series, but this season, luckily, I haven't heard or seen any of that. I like most of the people, and it's officially wrapping up. So if you want, you can look at the episode of Quita Tinsley and I going over the first 7 episodes of the Queer Ultimatum Season 2, and we are going to be back with the final 3 episodes. I feel like it went by too fast, honestly. Like, Love is Blind, we draw it out a little bit more. The Ultimatum has not reached the heights of that, and I definitely have multiple ideas of why. It's just not a very hopeful situation of giving your partner an ultimatum, but I also just think like there's more things that could be done to make it a little bit more interesting, entertaining, and like the highs and lows of it all. Still watching Love Island USA, which honestly I am on my last leg with after that male challenge. But before we go this recap reaction video is going to be from episode 20 to 26 pretty much. And boy, has so many things changed with Casa Amor, Olandria being dumped. Let's get into it. I do want to start with Nick Olandria because it's short, sweet, and there's more real couples to talk about. Now, I said in my last video I was not a Nick Olandria shipper just because I didn't see much for it before. I will say the Nick Olandria episode was fun. That was fun. That was the producers trying to give the audience what we wanted as much as we can. Nick, he is a smooth talker for sure. He said and did all the right things to also give the audience what they want. But at the end of the day, Olandria wants a black man. And I think this is the hard thing about Olandria's journey throughout this whole season, because she knew what she wanted. She thought she got what she wanted with Taylor. Taylor has definitely led her on, even though a lot of critics of Olandria would be like, well, he barely led her on. It's still enough. It's still not as clear as day when Jeremiah started shutting down Huda. He said, I want to be friends. I'm not trying to get you to like me. It could be as simple as that. But hey, sure, it's all in Olandria on why she had tunnel vision. But I also think, yeah, she really wants a black man. She just gives off that. On top of that, a countryman, a gentleman. And she could have had that with Jalen, which the public did set her up. And to be fair, she was open to it. So it's not like this was out of Olandria's control. But then, of course, Taylor started putting in the more, like, barely a little bit more effort, but enough to then when it's dumping time, Jalen's gone instead of Huda. And now she's definitely stuck with Taylor until Taylor gets an option. I wish Jalen was able to stick around instead of Huda and she was able to really explore, but like I said, then she gets this option and again it's like it's the public pushing things on Olandria instead of Olandria naturally getting what she wants or even people listening to what she wants. Because at the end of the day, it was fans who wanted her with Nick. Olandria never gave she was into him. While some people, which this is going to go into later, are critical of Olandria being critical of Huda kissing or being on top of Ace as Chelley's friend, they're bringing up, well, you were kissing Nick. First of all, she didn't choose Nick. They had to be coupled up in order to get out of there. And at the end of the day, she wasn't into it. I think if they showed the clips for movie night, which who knows if movie night's even going to happen. Movie night is not going to hit like it naturally would because there's no real couples here who have a leg to stand on with each other. But if they did, we know Olandria is going to have a lot less to say to Sierra than Nick because Nick laid it on thick and it was so clear it was Olandria who was not giving that her all and he read the room. It's not the same. Olandria was never going to try to take Nick from Sierra. So let's get into Nick and Sierra then. Oh my gosh, we finally get a date. And you know what? This cast is on another planet. I feel like we all know that the dates come once you're more of an established couple. The producers obviously noticed that none of these people were for real, an established couple. Therefore, there were no dates until after Casa Amor. Nick, he leaves Olandria to be up there with Sierra. Sierra chooses between him and Elon, which everyone kept saying Elon looks like Nick. Maybe from here, maybe from a distance, but like, no. And Sierra wasn't going to go anywhere. Okay, so these two are coupled up together, and at least I think producers saw that Sierra was at least pushing, reminding this man, hey, the goal is to get closed off eventually. We're already doing the do, so what else is left? I think they were like, okay, we finally have to give it to them. So they got bicycle riding and a picnic. Basic. At least for Jeremiah and Huda, they had a whole like water park. So you could see the level of effort production is doing for these couples. But he finally asked her to close off. And Nick said he was waiting for a date, which again, these men are not showing any initiative because that's not how it works. We've seen, and it's not always cute, but it gives like promposal. We have seen Islanders get all of the men together and like sing or like say something or give a woman a note after a note. And then they make this big declaration, ask, will you close things off with me? Boom, we're closed. And if anything, it seems like Ace would know that since Ace has been getting the boys together to do things for Chelley. And yet it's not clicking that if you want to be closed off with a woman like Chelley, just ask. But we'll get there. We finally have our first closed off couple. And it is what it is. We have this male challenge, which I'm jumping forward because I don't really think there's much else to talk about with these two. Sierra gets the question of why the women chose to send home Hannah instead of Iris or Amaya. And Sierra gives this explanation that Hannah was lucky enough to have two strong connections and wanted to give these other women a chance. Honestly, and this is like me getting into the meta of it all. Hannah did have two strong connections. One with Charlie and then Pepe, which Pepe is still in there. But the thing is, Hannah was having strong connections with other bombshells. And the OGs, the game is already rigged in the OG's favor, which I sometimes have a feeling about that. Just because you start the game doesn't mean you have to stay. Sorry. Especially when it's just not clicking. But whatever. I think the fact that, yeah, Hannah was getting strong connections, it seemed cute connections, and she was actually doing everything right, just made her stronger competition. They were like, she's not a main girly. It would be a whole different thing if she was a main girly, but she gotta go. Pepe, you gotta start all over. Huda trying it, he says no. Now it's Andrina. He's saying no. Shook. I'm shook that Pepe is coupled up with Grayson. I don't know what Grayson was getting at when he started talking about his feelings at the male challenge. She's like, oh, well, people recouple all the time. Okay, doesn't mean that they're happy about it. Like, we're seeing a trend of people separating couples before they're ready. And in some ways, it worked out for the best because I'm going to say we freed Jeremiah. I didn't vote, but the public freed Jeremiah, and we can tell by how happily he was able to start moving on and get the ball rolling again. But with these others, it's like, what are we shooting for here? And Pepe just might be waiting to reunite with Hannah. I know Hannah was happy to see Pepe still talk about her. So Grayson and Pepe, they're not in it for the long haul, and that's okay because Grayson's a Casa Amor girl and Pepe was a bombshell anyway. They shouldn't even be here anymore at this point. Yeah, right now there's also backlash against Sierra because she has been caught using a slur against Asian people on social media multiple times. There is a call to pull her from the competition. I'm not against it. We'll see. Because I think, yeah, even with Yulissa, if you're going to do it for one, do it for all. So we'll see if anything comes with that, with the whole Sierra situation. But that would be mad interesting if she gets pulled out, because that's going to be yet another, the minute they get a closed couple on this season, and it might be torn apart because of this kind of controversy that they were obviously trying to avoid. Season 7 is cursed. Now, let's get into the Ace, Chelley, and Coco wall. Chelley was exploring Chris back at Casa Amor. I knew when Ace was with Vanna, that wasn't going to last. And I should have predicted in my last video that he was going to somehow end up with one of the black women who picked Taylor, but it is what it is. Because that's my thing. You miss Chelley so much, but you still tried enough. And to the point that now Chelley is on this stage standing across from another dark-skinned black woman that's also in a yellow dress with a flower in her hair. And I know I want to know if production had a hand in this, because this visual is nasty work. Nasty work. And this is also why I am still justice for Chelley when it comes to the Ace Chelley argument later, because look at this. Be so for real. You could have still coasted with Vanna, honestly, than doing all this. But like, Chelley has never had you stand up there. No. Wild work. So he chooses Chelley. I noticed, though, in that speech, he just talking about he misses her. I'm like, when are we going to talk about closing it off soon? That's it? You missed me? Like, these men aren't moving towards any kind of commitment, and then shocked that Chelley's like, cool. I guess we're buddies. We missed each other. Cool. I thought for a second I was going to be wrong too. I was like, you know what? Maybe Ace is really trying to like look for love and isn't trying to play the tit for tat game with Chelley. Nah. I feel like my theory of how he wanted this whole thing to go down with Chelley has become even more true after the last few episodes, because at first he was talking a big game when it came to Chris. He's saying, oh, I'm ready to go to war. Is he ready to go to war? Da da da. I like competition. And he folded so quickly. All of a sudden, he's talking about, well, I got rid of Coco. That was your decision. And you were still making arguments to keep her. So, once again, Ace is not getting what he initially wanted. And what he really wants is to have Chelley move towards him in some way. And the only way I think he thinks he can do that is through jealousy instead of being vulnerable, instead of just saying how he actually feels about her. It's all about ego rather than why do you want to be with her? Do you want to be with her because she's the baddest in this villa or because you like her? And do you want to prove you deserve to be next to her by having another bad girl on your arm to try and check her? Or you could just prove that you should be the man for her by giving her what she wants, which is effort. That's all Chelley has asked for. She has never gone out of her way for any of these men, but she's saying, if you want me, then come and get me. But now he's talking about, well, I did all this stuff for you. What have you done? You still have a guy around, and she's barely putting any effort into that either, because she is so very clear. If you want me, get me. And they're crying, throwing up, acting like he's being mean to them. Like, I don't understand. Why is this so hard? So we have this heart rate challenge, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by anyone in this, because Huda's selfish. What Huda is going to do is she's going to make a moment about herself. She said she wanted to do her big one. Great. You did your big one. Was it worth it? Because your big one was for some reason dancing on your friend's man. There's so many people now in this villa. And for some reason, it was Ace that you decided to have that final thing. And people have said, oh, you know, it's because Chris was going to pull our girl Chelley and she was teamed up with Chris. So then she didn't have to take that man. Hell, Chelley and freaking Ace took Amaya. They're not even close to Amaya like that. You could pick anyone. But Huda decided to do that. And I think we see later, like, Huda is secretly in competition with Chelley. And Chelley is not thinking about Huda when she makes her moves. That's the difference between both of them. And Chelley is noticing the sneak dissing. She's like, okay, you said that respect to you as a friend is to stay away from the person I'm having this close situation with. Mind you, it's just 2 weeks, but you did the most with him. So now you want him off limits. No one did anything with Jeremiah besides Olandria. And you were like, oh, a little tiffy. But then you're like, fine, it's a challenge. You didn't just kiss Ace like Olandria did Jeremiah. You were humping. Mind you, last season, Serena went off on Cordell. That whole iconic pier was because she claimed Daya humped Cordell, which she barely did anything on top of that man. Barely. But she also didn't know Daya, so she wasn't going to go off on Daya. But Chelley knows Huda, and Huda's like, if you have your own code, then you're kind of telling me disrespect to another friend is doing this, and you did it to me, so you must not respect me. And some people might say that's not deep, but it is deep. Because of what Huda does later, you see that she actually doesn't respect. She's low-key in competition, and Chelley's just smart enough to sniff that out. So Chelley doesn't even do the most. She just sits there and she's like, okay, we'll talk about it later with Ace. We'll talk about it later to Huda. Also, Chelley could have easily told Huda, no, I don't want to talk to you right now, in front of all the other women. Everyone's accusing Chelley of being a mean girl and having all these girls back her. Chelley knows she doesn't need anyone to back her because Chelley knows she's right. So instead of turning Huda down, in front of those other girls, which she would have done if she wanted to be mean and catty. She says yes to Huda, walks across, and then says privately, actually, I'm too heated right now. Let's talk tomorrow. Now Huda wants to be moping and looking for a pity party somewhere. She turns to Olandria. Olandria has too much of her own stuff going on. She's like, oh, am I a terrible person? Which no one called you that. So save the pity party for someone else. Let's talk about whether you think what you did was wrong or not. Olandria said, not a terrible person, but let me go get my toasty. I'll come back for my toasty. Now people want to paint Olandria as mean. These women aren't mean, they're fed up. And I wrote about why they're fed up for Pop Heist. If you want to read about it, I'll put the link down in the bio of this video. But Huda has used these women multiple times, either to be a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen to, even to check whether she's doing something right or not. This is a grown woman who's a mother, and yet she is like mammying these Black women, telling them, tell me if I'm doing wrong or not. Give me a treat if I'm behaving well. You would be so proud of me. Grow up. Grow up. And the minute that you show that you've taken them for granted, once again, Chelley has made it clear to the other girls, this is not the type of person I want as my friend. Which Huda herself has said is not a unique situation for her. She's only has a couple. So why is Chelley the bad guy for obviously reading the situation as this isn't for me? And honestly, I would have been okay if Chelley just actually never talked to Huda again. She probably wouldn't if it wasn't for this villa. And I hate that this mail challenge happened because it felt like maybe things reached a point, because we did not see Huda and Chelley talk again. So maybe things reached a point where people weren't really going to talk to Huda again. And so they had to force the situation with this challenge. And I hate that. I hate that because I want my Black women to rest. Just give it a rest for a second. They have been coddling Huda this whole time. Ace has been trying to ego check Chelley this whole time, saying that, oh, I want to pull such and such, and I want to be open, and I want to explore this. She's been done with him saying exploring for a while now. Was it like week 2 she made the door explore comment? But now she's continuing to explore and it's a problem. Oh, I sent my other person home. How's that her fault? You stay ending up with not another woman and it's never her fault. So it has to be a tit for tat. I don't have anyone else, so you need to do the same. No, say how you feel about her. Is this about, well, it's week 4, so we have to do this now? No one wants to be a default except for Huda. And I say that because Huda has groveled for crumbs over and over again, and it's painful. She did it with Chris. This was a whole mess. And Ace had an interesting, he finally gets to confront Austin about Bleeder, and he like is so angry by that. It's so interesting to see that play out. And he then wants to bring up his height and how I'm 5'10", but I'm the leader, and you're 6 something and you're not saying anything. And it's like, Austin, if he was ever going to be honest with Amaya, it wasn't in that challenge. That's what I'm going to say. Because Ace asked him back then, he was like, well, did you tell Amaya that? No. And I was like, honestly, good. Because everyone needs to stop giving Amaya notes about her behavior, because she ain't going to change for anyone. But then, all of a sudden, Ace wants to talk about Amaya. Everyone starts dogpiling, and it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Ace is a whole mess, all right? A whole mess. Chelley When Chelley's up there, I think she was being very honest. Chris is sitting there asking what's going on. She's like, look, I'm not going to go out of my way to ruin my good thing for someone who's not even putting in the effort. Both of y'all were supposed to go to war and no one's doing anything, but you're just waiting around for her to pick someone. Both of y'all do not seem like good options. And why should Chelley settle? And the fact that he was so heated over what Chelley had to say and he only leaned back and put his arm around Huda. Huda should have been like, oh. Like, again, you're second place. It's showing in everything that, oh, this girl's not going to choose me, then I guess I'm with Huda. But everyone accuses Chelley of being jealous, and it's like, of what? She's not groveling for the crumbs of another woman, which Huda's doing. She's counting pancakes on plates. She secretly is so jealous of Chelley. Therefore, she's doing sneaky things, like doing the most with Ace, where everyone says, that was a bit far. She admits that she was wrong in confessionals, and yet when the challenge comes, she wants to front. She wants to be like, I thought it was a challenge. Then immediately fold when Chelley says something back. Then is like, oh, I don't even care about any of this. I care about a friendship. Lie. Lie. You care about these Black women not being against you. I don't know why, because you don't even like them like that. You're jealous and envious, and you yet want to put yourself around them so badly. And it's like, leave them alone. Chelley has literally gotten to the point of like, I don't even want to talk right now. Leave it alone. Olandra's getting to the point where I need to walk away from you. Actually, I need to focus on my damn self. Leave them alone. Do less. Do all the way less. Do whatever you want with Chris. It's not like Chelley's even that mad about him. It's about a character thing. You told me what respect is in your eyes, and then you didn't give me that respect. And that was all she needed. She doesn't need to hear Huda out, because all Huda is going to do is double talk. She talks out the side of her mouth all the time. It's one thing in the confessional. It's another thing when she's talking to other Islanders. Then it's a third thing when she's in front of the person. When it comes to people like that, actual confrontation's useless. It gets to a point. Because Huda's not going to admit that she's jealous of Chelley. And that's truly the core of their issue at this point. I felt some type of way when Chris made you pancakes. I ended up not having things work out with JD. No one else would have me. And it seemed like Chris was at least open, even though I knew he was already talking to you. But then I started feeling some type of way when he still was pursuing you more than me, even though I knew that was what it is. Chelley's also like, why did you ever put me in it, in your decision to pick Chris? It was so obvious you wanted Chris, but you still wanted to be like, this will be good for both of us. And honestly, it's about you. It's always about Huda at the end of the day. And no one's even saying it shouldn't be. That's the thing too. It's like, no one's saying that Huda needs to like give up everything for anyone else's journey. It's just stop acting like you're doing something for someone else and just do what you want. For some reason, your type is Black men. He's the other Black man. So I'm going to start talking to him. I guess we're going to both be talking to him. It's like she really wants to keep pushing the friendship, which the other women haven't. I think a lot of people are also like Chelley, Olandria. They're not girls. They never actually said that. They never needed to. Like, that's the thing. They never needed to. They've just been girls. And guess what? They haven't gotten into any arguments amongst themselves or really any of the other women until Clark. But Clark was coming for Olandria directly. So of course she's going to say something back. And she still had so much grace. And she still gave it 10 times more to Taylor. feel like I'm in another planet with people who are not seeing this for the way it is. Chelley's not angry over no Ace. Ace doesn't want Huda. I think it's been very clear, but there's been like a very loud minority of being like, Ace wants Huda. Jeremiah himself has said once he left that Ace stopped liking him the minute he didn't kiss Ulissa. Because Ace was on the oppression on night one that they all had to kiss each other on the mouth. And the fact that Jeremiah just gave her a peck because he didn't want to get stolen for Huda, she then defaulted to, I guess I'm going to take Ace from Chelley then. Notice how that has nothing to do with Huda. And yet there's a small minority that's like, oh my God, Ace wanted Huda the whole time and that's why Chelley's mad. That's why Chelley's not mad at Ace. First of all, he didn't pick Huda. So what's there to be mad about? He didn't initiate that, Huda did. And again, Huda's the one that keeps pushing girls-girl friendship. Where's the girls-girl friendship now? I feel like it's very clear that Chelley's not a pick-me because she's not even doing the most to get picked by these men. If anything, they're all mad at her because she's mad nonchalant because she doesn't need them. But anyways, I think that Ace should just get over himself and just make the grand gesture and close things off with Chelley. I don't know if he thinks that she'll say no or he just doesn't like how it looks because he wants to feel chosen by her. But it's like, you big dog, right? You 5'10" big dog, do it. Just do it. I can't. So I feel like Chelley is getting it from all angles with her, a person who claimed to be her friend and her man, because it was very whack that when she's venting about the situation to Ace thought that was his opportunity to be like, well, actually, I am feeling some type of way that you're still exploring. It is giving like, are you mad just to, because I'm mad? Like, what are you talking about? You've set the tone of this. If you want to be closed off, you have every power to close things off. What do you mean you want to wait for Chelley to reject Chris and you need like another guy humble? Just a mess. And I still don't think Chelley's done anything wrong. Even just asking for boundaries. You don't have to be in a close relationship to ask for boundaries, and Ace knows that, but it's his last card to play with her. And he's still in a game with her, which makes me think like he might like Chelley, but not more than his own ego. And that's that. He can be that, but I don't know if he's going to be in a close relationship by the end of this because of it. Everyone has to live with their choices. Now Taylor. Apparently, he's really feeling Clark from Casa Amor. Olandria was with Nick, but she comes back. Taylor jumps over Olandria to say hello to Nick for the first time. Here's my thing about Taylor that really gets me. It's not even that he has to be into Olandria romantically, but at least act like y'all were friends. You slept in the same bed as this woman for weeks, and you can't be even like a little excited for her that she's still around. Nasty work. He acts like she treated him in bondage. If people are going to be mad at Olandria and be like she needs to be accountable for herself and all of this, why isn't the same thing for Taylor? Because Taylor's mean. He's a mean boy. Forget mean girls. Olandria and Chelley, not mean girls. They're girls who are fed up. Women who have been used over and over and fed up. And people wanting to humble them, honestly. Taylor, for some reason, he wants to humble Olandria, and I don't know why, because no one forced him to put an effort with her when Jalen's here. But he's resenting her for some reason, for liking him. It's weird. And then he's doing all this stuff with Clark. Olandria said that this was a test because that's Love Island lingo. Clark wants to get in her feelings of like, I'm more than a test. Look, Olandria owned up to it. She was like, fine, this is what I meant by it. Nothing personal. There you go. Taylor, he didn't even really pull Olandria to the side the second time he dumped her. Olandria has been dumped twice and had to be saved twice. Taylor doesn't talk to this woman for a minute until later, and that's why Olandria finally went off on him. Because it's like, forget the romance part. Forget any of that. Are we not cool? What did I do to you that you said you can go and I would be fine never talking to you again? That's a wild switch up. It really is. And I'm glad she said what she had to say. Taylor had to flat out be pushed by the other Casa Amor girls of Just Choose. He's like, fine, Clark. Okay, Anne? Congrats, Taylor. Oh my God. So, yeah, Taylor's mean. He's a mean boy. And he just runs behind Ace. Now, let's get to Amaya of it all. Amaya got to choose between JD and Zach. She went with Zach, which if we had to choose between those two, yay. Honestly, snaps to Amaya. She started out having no options and was able to decide between two by this point. Now, Zach's weird because Zach absolutely switched up by the time that he got back to that villa, and the clearest sign is him not pulling anyone for conversations, including Amaya. I'm glad Amaya spoke up and called that out, and him saying, well, you can walk too. Do you know what you, as a bombshell in Casa Amor, what your one job is to start courting these OGs. This is about the OGs and who's going to win. Very few Casa bombshell pairings have won. Some have. And I'm not even against that happening. But let's call it what it is, Mr. Big Brother. You know how games work. What are you talking about? So Amaya, she's going back to exploring, I guess, and then we have that male challenge, and wow, to these mean boys again. Forget the mean girls. The only mean girl I know of in this season is Huda, and it's very self-explanatory about that. But so Ace has something to say. He said it before. It's nothing new. But she's like, thank you for the feedback. She has done nothing but ask Austin, am I crossing your boundaries? He lies. Which I said, I'm not even against, because honestly, she ain't doing anything wrong. He's just not feeling her. And he knows that. That's not her fault. So go your separate ways, find something new. Zach, out of nowhere also saying something. Thank you, Brian, for being like, look, we are Hispanic. We say mi amor. Like, what's going on? You jumping this girl over what? But I know it's like more than that. And like I said, I just think Amaya they have not put Amaya's good pairing in this house. I did say a himbo, someone who doesn't take himself too seriously. All these men take themselves too seriously. It's very weird. And yet they don't know what they're doing. So serious, but can't romance anyone. Amaya needs romance, needs flirtation, needs to keep it light. Energetic as well. Fun, friendly. Are any of these men friendly? No. And Amaya keeps saying, thanks for the feedback, but I'm probably not your cup of tea. And these men are hearing, I'm just not for you. They still think this is a character flaw, and it's not. But y'all thinking it's a character flaw is your character flaw. Because women aren't supposed to change for you. No. Just because y'all are chameleons, y'all will be lying by omission just to have a spot in this house. That's not Amaya's deal. So chill out. Ooh, like she was so strong standing up there, and still emotional, strong. Like, we use that word for Olandria, Chelley all the time because they barely be crying. But Amaya's strong too, and she always be crying, and I love that for her. Forget Austin talking about you cry all the time. Austin, go home. I'm so done with him being here. Go home. So, yeah. At this point, I'm like really over a lot of them. I'm glad we're not seeing a lot of Iris and TJ. I know Iris got some backlash because she was like, what do you mean you're okay with your friend kissing your man to Sierra and Olandria? But honestly, most friends would say that. I know there are a lot of people who are just very protective over Olandria, but also it's like she could feel some type of way, but also it's Olandria who didn't want your man. While Nicholas was hyping Olandria, doing the most, still sucking toes. So that's not Olandria's business, as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see. I am such a Chelley and Olandria defender. I do not care. I do not care. And no matter what happens, I know that they're going to be good. So we'll just keep on seeing what happens with this season, but it's getting rough. Like, the fact that challenge was so nasty in general, I was like, this might not be for me anymore, because this is really mean and like not kind to the Black women. Anything that they would have said, they would have gotten criticism for, and they don't do anything to anyone. Again, I'd be hard pressed to figure out what in the world they have done that deserves so much critique. They're just so over it, as they deserve to be. So we'll see. I'm just rooting for their happiness, their peace of mind after all this. I hope they have a good long vacation and all the bookings. But I don't think there's any real men to root for. And again, this all came back to casting. I thought the OG casting was already a rough lineup to start with. And it continues to be rough, because honestly, if the OGs were enough, all these Casa people would be gone by now, as they usually are. But I think producers know, like, a lot of these OGs we're getting sick of and stuff. We're still not seeing these new people that much, though. I mean, I'm shook that Brian and Andrina aren't working. Then she moves on to Pepe, and Pepe's like, please leave me alone. I can't be passed around no more. So that's wild, because I would be cool with also giving Audrina something if that only worked. But we'll see. Love Island season 6, your crown, still holding on, still there. Good for you. Other than that, guys, Big Brother 27 is coming soon. We have pictures of the house and a theme, which is so exciting. I'll be back for exit interviews. I'm still doing Destination X interviews. I did have to take a pause because of personal reasons. And other than that, I hope you guys subscribe, like, comment your thoughts. And I hope the Black women who are also having to watch this angering season and interactions, I especially hope you feel visible along with the rest of the Black by Reality subscribers, and feel visible today and every day. Bye.